Hello, everybody. How exciting. We're here to talk to some real life franchisees today about how franchising is helping me achieve my dreams. So this is really exciting. Always excited to have the opportunity to share my insights, and I'm even more excited to hear the insights from the franchisees on this panel today. So I'm Angela Cote, and before I give my background, I just want to make it very clear that the information provided in this session is not legal or business advice. Each attendee should consult their own legal and business advisors for advice on how this information works for you and your business goals. All right, so now we got that out of the way. I'll just quickly introduce myself. So I'm Angela Cote, and my background is with M&M Food Market. My dad is the founder of the company. So whether I liked it or not, I grew up in the world of franchising and learned a lot along the way, dressing up as Kelly Kebab at grand openings as a kid, setting up franchises in Western Canada in the late 90s as a young female boss's daughter. You can only imagine I would show up to teach them how to run their business, and they'd be like, interesting. So I learned a lot about franchisee, like the relationship between franchisor and franchisees. Then I became a franchisee myself. So I was a franchisee for 18 years, multi-unit franchisee on Vancouver Island. So I've been in the shoes of a franchisee, which is it's a unique situation for sure. So and now today I work with franchisors, helping them with setting up their systems to support their franchisees or improving their systems. Often I work directly with franchisees and facilitate sessions and things like that. So I'm really excited, as I said, to hear the insights of these awesome franchisees on the panel today. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to keep this pretty casual, right? We all agreed that's a good plan. Thumbs up to that. So I've got some questions lined up, and we will also take Q&A if anybody in any of the attendees or have specific questions for specific franchisees on the panel or in general. We're happy to take those as well. So we'll keep our eye on the Q&A today. And so the way we're going to start this is I'm going to have each of the franchisees introduce themselves and share just a little bit about themselves, just how long they've been with the brand they're with, and why they chose to be a franchisee. So Rhonda, I'm going to pick on you first. If you could jump in and share that, would be awesome for our attendees to start to get to know you.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rhonda Millsap, and I own a Molly Maid franchise in Barrie, Ontario. Pretty much for me, it was, I always had wanted to own my own business, and I had looked into a few different opportunities. I've been to franchise shows and whatnot, and for me, it kind of almost just fell into my lap. I had a friend that was a supervisor for another Molly Maid that was in my area. And I always heard, fantastic things, and it just kind of, the ball started rolling. I looked into it, and to be honest, franchising works. And when I went and checked it out, and it just felt like a really good fit. And now I've owned the business now for about 9.5 years. Have had 2 babies in the meantime, and yeah, for me, it was just kind of going in that direction.
And you're still smiling.
Yeah,
that's great. After having 2 kids and running a business for 9.5 years, that's awesome. And it goes to show that you can be a a female mom business owner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's probably because of the support from the franchisor that you're able to do that and still have a smile on your face.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go to Andre next. Andre, could you give us your backstory, please?
Yes, my name is Andre Cyr. I'm co-owner with my wife of a Pure and Simple restaurant in Bathurst, New Brunswick. We've been open since November of 2019, so we're almost brand new, especially with everything that we learned in the last couple of months there. We opened our own restaurant with Pure and Simple. No experience before, so we always loved the restaurant business, and we saw that there was an opportunity in our community that there was no big franchise for breakfast, and there was no big competition. So we said, well, why not do it ourselves? So we started to learn about the franchise of Pure and Simple, and we fell in love when we went the first time, and here we are today.
That's amazing. So yeah, I love that it sounds like you weren't thinking, I want to be a business owner, I want to be a franchisee. It was more like, I see a gap in the market and something we need. And then you realized, hey, we can do this because it's a franchise model.
Yeah, well, for us, we always wanted to have our own business. Like we already had our own business, but we wanted more. But for us, we knew that if we were going in the restaurant business, that there's so much things to learn, that the franchise model for us was the way to go, because the way the business case has been laid out with the procedures, the policies, and all that, like, yeah, and you have a lot of support from head office. So for us, it was a match that we said, yes, let's go and let's learn.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's so nice to not have to figure out something that's already been figured out that you can jump into and get successful sooner because of it. So that's very cool. All right, Boka and Mira from Mary Brown's. Let's hear your backstory, please.
Okay, so my name is Boka, and this is my wife, Mira. And then I guess we're co-managing Mary Brown's store in Scarborough, Ontario. We opened it, we're fairly new. We opened it last year, December. So far so good in the pandemic. So like, I think like other franchisees here, I've always wanted to get involved in business even at a young age. And then, so we, for the first, after school, I did a bit of saving, working. And then my wife has always been in the retail, restaurant, quick service business. So food franchise was sort of like a natural choice for us. And then we met Mary Brown at a franchise show. And then they were really warm, welcoming, just connected really well. And then one step led to another. And then here we are, right?
Yeah. And so I think that this is a perfect time to get into the why, because I and just in the overall sense here, I want everybody that's attending this right now and watching this to understand that it's a very common question of, like, how do I know, how do I know if that's the right fit, which brand to go with? There's probably also, how do I know if I should even be a franchisee? And there's lots of ways that you can, assess the DNA. There's lots of resources out there that if anybody has any questions on that, I'm happy if they want to reach out to me. But how do I know the brand itself is the right brand? So I think I'll stay with Boka and Mira on that. Because I know you guys have a good story on why you chose Mary Brown's specifically, and how did you know that it was the right brand?
Oh, me?
Boka and Mira.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think, well, because my wife was in the quick service already. So a food franchise was sort of was our focus. We weren't, and then because we have, I guess, relevant skill sets. And then also, I think a lot of food franchise, our budget allows too. So that's sort of the other side of the factor. And then we kind of kept our eyes open, right? And then, we look at a bunch of franchises, and then we look a bunch, spoke to a couple, and then I guess just like they were, they responded back to us. We felt it was right. I guess sort of like interviewing for a couple jobs. And then, you'll feel which company is right for you. And we did research on the background as well. And then everything was good, right? There was no red flags. And then, I think the main fact was we had relevant skill set and the budget kind of allows. So for us, those.
Yeah. And you, in the earlier part, you were also saying that you everything felt right? Like it's the relationship. And so because people ask me all the time, like, like, how do I know and what should I be looking at and all that? And yeah, you should check out for the red flags and skill set. Absolutely. Do you have the right traits to be a franchisee? Do your skills fit that business? But it has a lot to do with the feeling, because that's all about the relationship you're going to have with the franchisor. And that's so critical. The most successful franchisees are the ones that have that great relationship. So speaking of successful franchisees, let's go into, kind of now for people to self-reflect, what are the, some of the traits I need to have as a franchisee to be successful? I'm going to go to Rhonda for this. So, if I'm wondering, am I going to be good at being a franchisee? What are the top 2 or 3 traits you think that help you be successful in that role?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the number one thing, honestly, is dedication and hard work. Like, I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. Like, if you are gonna, go into this and say, I want to own a franchise, you have to be dedicated and you have to know this is for you. And then that's where the hard work comes in. And if you're not dedicated and you're not willing to put in the hard work, it's like anything you do in life. It's not going to work. So for me, that is a huge thing. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
Are you telling me that you don't just like turn on an open sign and go sit there?
Absolutely not. No, I wish it did happen that easy, but it doesn't happen that easy.
I mean, I'm actually trying to bust that perception out there that franchising is turnkey. I don't like that expression, because when I was a field trainer and I would go set up the franchisees, I would get there and they're like, well, it's turnkey. Aren't you going to do all the work and get us open and then we're just going to get customers? I'm like, no, that's not what turnkey means. So sorry to interrupt, but it's a common misconception. So yes, I agree. Hard work, like it is still hard work, even though it's a franchise. Everybody hears that. Okay, please continue. So
for sure, because even you saying that as well, I mean, I've heard of a lot of people taking over a turnkey, business per se, and then it just gets ran to the ground because, again, they just thought that it was supposed to just kind of run on its own. And that's where, again, I think that the hard work, the dedication, but then a true one for me, I think is really good leadership. And I think that is something that really is key, because in a way, your staff drive your business as well. So if you're not a good leader yourself, and show your dedication, show your hard work, then it's going to be harder to keep staff. So I feel like they all kind of go hand in hand, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And just regarding leadership, so you said like you have to show your dedication. And you have to show your hard work. So it's the role modeling of actually doing the work is one of the things within leadership. Is there anything else within the leadership, like what does it mean to be a good leader? Can you add anything else to that?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think being a good leader is showing strength, showing, being honest as well. I always kind of joke with my staff that I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve, and that, be fair to me, be fair, I'll be fair back. And so again, it's very, being hands-on for me has been a big way for me to show my leadership. Again, I already said I had, 2 babies in the last 4 years. So, I showed up to work a week after I had my baby. I was right back into business. And I think that my staff really respected me for the fact, again, that I showed, that leadership that, hey, you know what, I'm here. If you're working late, I'm working late. So, we're all in this together. And I think that that's kind of a big thing for me for that leadership.
That's fantastic. And I think it gives you credibility, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
And and makes you relatable. And as a leader or boss, when you're credible and relatable, people are more likely to naturally want to follow what you're doing, I think, so
For sure.
I love that you said those two. So the hardworking and the leadership. I actually have a resource that I give to people called the DNA of a franchisee, and it's the 10 traits. And those are 2 of the key ones. There's a couple others, but I'll just see if anybody else wants to chime in. Boka and Mira, did you want to add into what you think are some of the key success factors that you need to know about and maybe might not have thought of as a franchisee?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So just like Rhonda said, I guess, work hard. Right. And then because you're putting a lot of your own money in it, it doesn't make sense to not work hard and let someone else do all the work for you. Right. Yeah. You have to work hard. And then I think another thing for us is constantly monitor your own performance. Right. Like we're fairly new being, I guess, a business owner, being a boss, being a leader. We have made mistakes along the way. But I guess the important factor is realize that, I have made that mistake. And how should I do differently next time? So I guess constantly adjusting yourself. Like I would have weekly, like on a Sunday, I would sit down, lay on the sofa, just kind of think, okay, what happened this week? What are some things I could have done better? Maybe these are words I shouldn't say to the employee. These are things I shouldn't say to this. Maybe I should do this on the schedule, do this and do that. So just constantly monitor your own performance. And then I think that's all. I mean, obviously hard work, and then constantly monitor your performance. So I think that's also a key for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's just another trait of a leader, right? Being introspective and, you know, making and checking in on yourself. And I'm kind of hearing a similar theme with you, Boka, to Rhonda about like transparency too. Like you used the word being honest, Rhonda. And I think I'm kind of guessing that might be partly like being transparent. You know, the best leaders are people who are not afraid to show a little bit of vulnerability. And it doesn't mean you're weak, right? Like you're not weak because you admitted you did something wrong. You're again going to be more relatable, and it will add to your credibility as a leader. And I want to ask Andre next this question as well, because I just think it's so important. But on the topic of the leadership, I think it's one of those ones. I'm staying on this topic for a minute because it's one of those things that I feel like it gets missed because people think there's a system and I'm just going to go kind of plunk myself into the system. And again, just like the hardworking. And, you know, it's, I've seen one of the reasons, you know, franchisees don't do well is that they didn't realize they have to have leadership traits, and then they get walked all over by their staff. And staffing, we can all admit, I think, is one of the most challenging probably things in any small business, franchise or not. Everybody's smiling. And I've been there 18 years. I had frontline, you know, especially frontline entry wage staff who are transient and, you know, like less dedicated. So that's why the leadership's so critical. And I think it just, it gets overlooked. So it's not to say, I don't think you shouldn't be a franchisee if you don't have leadership skills, but you can get leadership training, you know, go get some coaching training. There's so much online stuff. You can just go on YouTube probably and learn a bunch. So, that's awesome. So Andre, what else would you say is what's critical to the success?
For us, one thing we learned quite upfront as we started. So basically for us, there was 2 weeks where we had the head office with us for opening and then setting up the store and getting things done. For us, multitasking was a big thing because you start your day, you're not even sure where you're going. This is all new. To touch back on the comment you made about it's turnkey, you don't have anything to do. Well, it's not true. You get there's a lot of things that needs to be done in a short time frame before you're open so you can open your doors. So for us, multitasking was a big thing because there's a lot to do, especially up front, until you can actually just say, okay, well, it's been a month now. I know the process. I know how this works. I know how to do the ordering. There's payroll, there's HR, there's a bunch of stuff that you get thrown at up front. So there's a lot of multitasking for us that we said, we need to really be able to juggle all these little things and say, okay, we can't miss nothing. So we had a lot of note takings and long discussions later at night when the doors were closed, and it keeps going. The other aspect, it's to be able to connect with the community. For us, we're a small community, probably compared to the others on the panel today. To us, it was key that we have a good relationship with the community to say, okay, well, our goal was to bring you this service because we seen there was a lack, but we can't force it on you because it's not there. So we really need to be involved in the community. For us, it was really important to be involved in charities and local advertising and just to think outside the box of how can we help the community while running our business.
Yeah, you just made my heart beat faster when you said that, because I just think it's so critical. Does anybody else, I'd love to hear if anybody else has any stories of experience or ways that you've, you know, but connected with the community. Because when people ask me, should I franchise my business? Like they've got their one unit and we talk about, there's lots of criteria we need to look at. But one of the things is I say, does it matter do you need somebody in the local community that's going to connect, like in that local market, that's going to connect with the community to help grow the business and build up brand awareness and all that? And if they say yes, it's okay, we can keep talking about whether you should franchise now. If you say no, well then just get managers and be like a Starbucks, like do it corporately instead versus like Tim Hortons, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, does anybody else have anything to contribute on that regarding community?
I think ours, Angela, like with Molly Maid, it's a community is a big thing, but for us as well as we're creating relationships also in different ways because we're going into people's homes, right? So it's almost, we have that community feeling as well, just being in somebody's home and building a relationship with them, right? It's more than just coming in to clean their home, you know, especially our ladies and things like that. When they're going into homes, they're building relationships with the clients. So when we go in, it's not, again, necessarily us being out in the community as much as making everybody feel like we should be a part of their home, right? So it kind of goes hand in hand as well for us. I find that, again, that opening up that comfort level for our clients.
Mm-hmm. And that's such a personal thing, right? Like I've had I've had people do cleaning at my house as well, and it's like they're they're in there, and especially if you're not home, there's that level of like the trust and all that. So yeah, so I think that's really cool. What you're getting at too is relationship building. You know, when I think back to my 10 traits, the DNA, I've got that it's very helpful to be community oriented. Like one of the things I recommend people ask a franchisee when they're in that recruitment process is, what's your sort of level of connection with your community right now? And if they say, you know, if they say I'm on a board of directors for this, or I volunteer for the PAC at my kid's school or something, like, okay, this person's going to be able to kind of leverage that skill. And then relationships, like building relationships is so critical. So Boka and Mira, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, I think community is really important, at least for food, I guess, food business. For example, where our restaurant is, we have quite a few large businesses around us. We have I think the Toronto Public Library Administration branch next door. We have like 2 Canada Posts around the area. And then that really, so if we treat one Canada Post customer well, they're going to go back to the lunch table. Oh, where's this bag from? Oh, it's Mary Brown. It's at the corner of Nomela and Elsmere. And then just word of mouth, and then it just gets, it's like, it gets viral. And then also once I was talking to my wife that once the pandemic is over, I definitely want to do some knock on door advertising, just get my name out there, let people know, hey, you know, this is a family-owned franchise restaurant. You know, everybody's welcome. And then it also helps grow our business too, because we're new. I think we're restaurants new in this area. So there's a fair number of people who, even up to this day, go, oh, this is my first time here. You know, what is it about? I went to a Starbucks next door yesterday, and I think the barista was like, oh, you're wearing a Mary Brown shirt. What is that? Right? So, all right. I was, oh, it's a franchise. Oh, really? So I've never heard about it. So it's for me, if you're new in your area, I think being very community involved is very important to get your name out there.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. I'm flashing back to when I had my stores and my M&M meat shops, and when we first moved in, when we first opened a store, we would take a tray of, you know, Nanaimo bars or brownies around to the other tenants in the mall, and say, hey, like, you know, we're just saying hello, and you know, we might invite them. Come on, or, you know, if we were having our grand opening, or invite them, or whatever, but like just to really connect with the other businesses. And even if you're like with Molly Maid, you know, there's probably ways you can do cross promotions and things. But yeah, I think the key point here is that I think we're really hitting on is that, again, just being a franchisee, like you have to want all these things and be excited. And that's probably why you have to really love the brand, because you have to be passionate about doing those things. Like you're not going to do it if you're not excited to do it. So that community piece is really important.
And you even speaking just about the brand as well, Angela, like that's again, I truly love our brand. And I always kind of joke with, you know, my supervisor and even head office and stuff, that I bleed Molly Maid, I guess you could say. And, you know, it truly is, because, you know, to me, it's such a family environment, and there's such a, you know, when we get together at seminars or conventions or anything like that, we're all looking forward to, you know, just get together and chat and relate on so many different levels. And that's what's so awesome about being a franchise as well, is that, you know, everybody is kind of on the same team. So it's nice that we can all, you know, get together, and even if it's not at a seminar or convention, I can call a neighboring franchise and say, hey, you know, what are, you know, any suggestions for this? Or, you know, have you ever felt like this? Or, you know, whether it be a vent or even a good laugh, whatever it is, it's nice to have that partner And it's nice just to be able to say, hey, look, we're all going through the same things right now. And that's whether you run your business a little differently than I run mine, we're all still the same franchise across the board. So it's really nice to have that partnership.
I love that you just said that. That is, I talk all the time about how much value there is in leveraging the collective wisdom of the franchisees, because you're all running this exact same business, just in different markets. So you can learn so much from each other. So I'm excited to hear that you are leveraging that and getting, so that you're not only, this is the beauty of franchising, not only are you getting the support from the franchisor, but you're getting the support from your peers, which is fantastic. And yeah, that's awesome.
And that's what's nice about being a part of a franchise, is that, it's not just as simple as, being like, oh, okay, I just started my own, again, let's say cleaning business, mom and pop shop, just that I'm doing on my own. And if I'm running into issues, it truly is such a team environment. And that's, again, why I go back to just those relationships and everything. It's just such a nice thing to know that you have support, not only from other franchise partners, but from head office as well. There's so many things that they're there for you for, that if you had your own business not franchised, you have to figure it on your own, and it's nice to be able to kind of know that somebody has your back in a way, even though you're still driving it.
Very good. I'm going to, there's a question that came up in the Q&A. We're going to kind of shift towards that, but I want to start with something to segue into it. The question is going to be about the challenges. What are some of the challenges, and then maybe how you've overcome them. We can add that in. But I think to segue there, Andre, what I'd like to ask is, what do you think it would have been like for you during COVID if you had been an independent business and you had opened when you did in, I think you said November, right?
Yeah.
And you were on your own instead of in a franchise system where you have the family of support?
It would have been hard. I can tell you that right now, because just the fact of head office helping us along the way when it did hit and we had to close the store, of like procedure-wise, how to do things, what needs to be done in a certain order. Like those are things that probably were never plain in a policy manual for a franchise.
Yeah.
So they had to be there. They stepped up, and within, I think, by the end of the first day, they came us with a policy and they said, look, this is exactly what you need to do step by step. And then we followed that and we kept going. But it's not just that, it's the support on our rent, like to deal with our rent for through the landlord. So they helped us. They said, well, do you want help or you're good on your own? And like for ourselves, we had a good relationship with the landlord. So we said, well, we'll deal with it. But they were still there and sends us constant information of, well, this is available, the programs are available for you from the government and all that. And to us, it's been a big help, especially since we only had a short time frame to kind of learn the business. So for us, it was a really key part to help us going during the COVID issue.
Yeah, and that's just, it's a testament to the mission of the franchisor. You know, a good franchisor understands that the number one driver of franchise company growth is profitable and happy franchisees. Yeah. Because you'll tell other people when because people will come and ask you, is this a good franchise to be a part of? And if you're happy, if you're making money and you feel supported, at least. I mean, making money during COVID's a little bit questionable for people, but at least if you know that they've done everything for you that they could, you're probably going to say, yeah, it's a great, like, you're all right now speaking very highly of the franchise companies you're with, which is fantastic.
And the other part for us was the reopening phase. There was a lot of question and like, for us in New Brunswick, we kind of opened before other provinces. So they kind of took a step where on a Friday afternoon at 4 p.m., the government says, well, you can open on Monday. Okay, well, what do we need to do? So my feeling is they spent probably all weekend trying to put something together that made us open on a Monday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. And all the procedures were done. And like we actually got a really good guide from them, and we had to do a walkthrough of the store and show them that everything that we had to put in place was there. So to us, it was really good because we knew exactly what we had to do, while talking to other businesses with same type of restaurant in the area, they were left in the dark. They had nothing. So what we did is we just sat with them and said, look, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. And then they start implementing some of the stuff that our franchise gave us. So it kind of helped the community in a way as well to help them going.
That's fantastic. When the pandemic, hit and we were, lockdown happened and everything, it was so fascinating to me. I work with a lot of, franchisors, and just to see them, they were like, I've never worked this hard in my whole life. Like they were just like not sleeping. They were doing everything they could to protect their franchisees. Like I'm getting a chill just thinking about it, because it was so incredible to see. And now I'm getting to hear from you guys, and well, specifically Andre on this topic. We've got a couple other questions we got to get to, but to hear that, imagine you would have had to figure that out versus here you go. Like you would not have probably been able to open as fast. No. And you would have been drained entirely. Like you're probably still, there's still some stress about that, but that's fantastic. So I'd like to, so let's talk a little bit about the challenges, of being in a franchise. And we can be honest about these things. Like I know for me, there were times that I didn't agree with, something that was, being implemented, and had to follow those systems and how I dealt with it. So, does anybody, I don't know if anybody has something they really want to share on this, on the challenges. I'll let you.
Angela, like for me, again, going back to like my brand, I've always, I've never had a challenge with head office. They've always been there. They've always been super supportive. If I were to say for myself, my biggest challenge, for me would be staff. And just keeping a good fluent, because again, it's one thing, for us, because we're going into people's homes, on a regular basis. Staff turnover is like the worst thing that can possibly happen in our business. Not that it's not bad in other people's business, but when we're going into people's homes, they want to see the same faces. They don't want to see somebody new every week or every other week. So I would say that's been one of my biggest challenges, is just, again, just getting the right staff and keeping the right staff. And I have a fantastic staff. But there will always be, and I've kind of learned to accept it, that, I used to think it was me. I used to think that, hey, this is, I'm losing staff because I'm not a good boss, or I'm not doing something right. And then I came to realize that, I really sat down and went through a lot of my traits as, a business owner, and that goes back to the leadership and different things. And I really kind of came to grasp that, no, you know what, this isn't me. That there will always be a revolving door, unfortunately, with some people. No matter how good of a boss you are, no matter what you do, how much you support your staff, there will people that come and go, because that's just the way they are. And I think that has always been a challenge since I've owned the business. And like I said, I'm 9.5 years in now. And I know it's going to continue to be a challenge even in 9.5 years. So I think that that's something that is the biggest thing for me anyway.
I love that you brought that up, because when I'm, again, talking to people that are thinking about becoming a franchisee, if they don't like the idea of dealing with that, like, don't be a franchisee, because it is a given. Boka and Mira, what I'd like to know then is, if assuming you agree with this, what are some things that you can do to kind of minimize that, or minimize the problem at least of staff turnover?
So we have definitely, actually, speaking of staff, I absolutely agree with Rhonda. We're actually seeing we had to let somebody go yesterday for and then so we just posted on Indeed. But what I do is we have gotten better with looking at resumes. And I think one thing is for us, we do want a high turnover is never a good thing for franchisees. It is a high labor cost. So if somebody's resume, they have lots of jobs or short times, that's a red flag. right? And then that's what I think. And then those things, sometimes there's always going to be a bit of luck, right? I think some of the best employees I hired, I never, because when my store opened, I was more about, how many people I can have rather than picking the best people. And then some of the people that I never really thought about, they turn out to be really, really great workers, right? And then, so I just think we have gotten better with finding employees. And then the other thing is, sorry, I kind of blanked out.
So the screening process is one thing
Right.
that helps you minimize the turnover.
Right.
Andre, is there anything you would add to that to minimize that problem?
Yeah, along the same lines as what was said there initially, like as earlier, everything is thrown early and you got to learn quick. For us, the hiring process was not ideal up front. Like we didn't screen enough. Like right now, we know exactly what to look for in a resume. That before, okay, we're looking for experience, but we found out that maybe somebody that's really want to work more is better than somebody with a ton of experience. But for us to minimize that, what we implemented from the start, me and my wife, we co-owned the restaurant together, is we wanted to bring the culture of the brand through the staff. So we really want to be a family. So we implemented the family word from the start. So basically, if there's issues, well, we call it a family meeting, and then we wash the dirty laundry right then and there, and it's over. Like it's a fast-paced business. Sometimes the issues grow too big, and when you're busy, it's not the time to do it. But we've learned that if we treat everybody as a family, like everybody's starting to buy in, and it seems to be better. There's not too many staff that left. There is, because you can't keep everybody, but right now we're at a point that the family is really good, and we really want to keep it together.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's it really comes, I think it comes down to leadership again as well. So getting the right people. I love like hire for personality and attitude, train for skill. I've heard that expression. Sounds like you're saying that's what you guys realized. And your franchisor should be able to help you to some extent, with what type of person works best in that franchise system, as an employee. What are some of the things you should look for? So we've just got a couple minutes left. And I think what might be kind of cool is we just do like a rapid fire quick tip. You each get like 35 seconds to give your one thing that maybe that you wish you would have known, or that maybe you did do, but that was really important when you're considering becoming a franchisee, or you're in that stage of, should I do this? What's one thing? I think I'll start with Rhonda if you're ready for me.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, just keep an open mind. Really go in with a positive attitude. If you are, truly invested and you want to grow, you will grow. And I think that's the biggest thing is again, that goes back to that dedication and just, if you truly want it, it's, I used to joke with the president of Molly Maid, and I used to say, if you build it, they will come. Right. So it's for me, that dedication, I think, is a huge, huge thing. And I couldn't, being committed is a big tip for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Boka and Mira.
Yeah. So I think, franchise, I think anyone can be successful running a franchise business. Like you said, if you feel you don't have certain skill sets, but that doesn't mean you don't have that skill sets a year from now. Right? There's time for you to learn, to grow. And then, like I said, just work hard. And then sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. There's also going to be risk. But again, going with a positive attitude. So when things do become difficult, then at least you can manage it and then get through it. But, I think at the end, have fun along the way.
Awesome. I love those tips. These are all so good. And so Andre, what do you got for quick tips?
Yeah. So what we did, and probably most of everybody, but sometimes as somebody that talks to a franchisor, you're kind of scared to ask the dumb question. Well, people need to understand there's no dumb question. You're making a big investment of time and money into this. So for us, we basically, all the questions we've had, we ask them up front. And it's always to project yourself. Okay, this is today. This is what I want today. But in 10 years, do I still want the same things? And try to link those two things up front to make sure that what you're asking now is actually what you want in 10 years from now.
That is so I was like, if we have an extra minute, I'll share one of my tips. And that was going to be part of it. Like, don't hide who you are in the recruitment process, because it will backfire on you.
Yeah.
If you pretend you're good at something and then you're not, wouldn't it be better to have figured that out before you made that big decision, and did that. So that's, fantastic. Oh, you guys are just awesome. I know that this has been super valuable for people watching, and I'm glad that it's recorded so people it will live on. And you guys gave some great advice. It's not always easy and rosy, but if you're the right fit for it, it can be amazing. So thank you all so much. I do have to quickly announce that there is the next seminar starts at 1:50 p.m. Eastern time, and the topic is, how does franchising work? So thank you everybody that attended today, the Virtual Discovery Day. And we definitely encourage you to explore and connect with the many different franchise opportunities in the Expo Hall during the break. So hopefully now you've got some great ideas on what you need to go do in those exhibit halls as you go around. So thank you very much. And I hope everybody has an awesome day.